Is it possible for a war to be won before the first arrow is loosed? Can an entire kingdom be conquered, not by an army, but by an idea? The encounter between the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon is remembered as a fable, a simple tale of riches and romance. This is a profound misunderstanding. Beneath the surface of the legend lies a masterclass in psychological statecraft, a high-stakes game where the prize wasn't land or gold, but reality itself. This is the story of how a single, perfectly crafted message dismantled an empire. And it forces us to confront the one question that has defined human history from the beginning. Where does true power really come from?
Welcome to Secrets of the Ancients, where ancient mysteries awaken.
Before we speak of kings and queens, we must first speak of power. Not the crude, simple power that comes from the blade of a sword or the weight of gold. We must speak of a different kind of power, a total, integrated, and terrifyingly complete dominion over the fabric of existence. To understand the story of Queen Bilqis of Saba, you must first understand the reality of the man she was destined to confront. Prophet King Solomon. History remembers Solomon as wise, a builder of temples, a man of immense wealth. This is a dangerously incomplete picture. The kingdom of Solomon, as described in the foundational texts of the Abrahamic faiths, was not merely a regional superpower. It was an ontological empire, an empire that had fundamentally redefined the relationship between the ruler and the ruled, between the material and the immaterial. Let us inspect his army. When we think of an ancient army, we imagine ranks of men with spears and shields, cavalry on thundering horses. Solomon had this, of course. His human forces were disciplined, vast, and equipped with the finest bronze and iron the world had ever seen. But they were, in many ways, the least significant part of his power. They were the visible tip of an iceberg so deep and vast it defied conventional understanding. Marching alongside the humans were the beasts, not as mascots or novelties, but as disciplined, integrated regiments. Lions, the embodiment of royal authority and raw, terrestrial power, commanded the vanguard. Tigers, wolves, and great bears moved with a purpose that transcended animal instinct. This wasn't a circus. This was the willing submission of the natural world to a higher order. It was a living testament to Solomon's mandate, a harmony so profound that the ancient enmity between man and beast was suspended. Think of the logistical and philosophical implications. An army that doesn't just conquer land, but commands the very life upon it. It's a force that tells its enemies, our dominion extends to the beasts of the field and the birds of the air. Your world in its entirety answers to us. In a modern context, this would be akin to a nation controlling not just its military hardware, but the very laws of physics, the patterns of weather, the tectonic plates beneath the earth. It is total spectrum dominance on a planetary scale, but even this pales in comparison to the next layer of his power, the unseen, the forces known as the Jinn. To the modern, secular mind, the Jinn are creatures of folklore, genies in bottles. To the ancient world, and to the reality of Solomon's court, They were something far more tangible and terrifying. The Quran describes them as beings created from smokeless fire. They are not ghosts or demons in the simple, cartoonish sense. They are a parallel intelligence, an unseen population inhabiting the same world as us, but on a different energetic or dimensional frequency. They possess immense strength, the ability to travel vast distances in an instant, and knowledge of secrets hidden beneath the earth, minerals, waters, and structural weaknesses. They are, in essence, the masters of the subterranean and the ethereal. And Solomon commanded them. He didn't just ask for their help, he enslaved their most powerful tribes. The Jinn, beings of immense pride and chaotic power, were forced into labor. They were his builders, his deep-sea divers fetching pearls, his artisans, and most critically, his invisible shock troops. Imagine facing an army where the most powerful warriors are unseen. An enemy that can dismantle your fortress from the inside out without ever breaching a wall. An enemy that can whisper dissent and paranoia directly into the minds of your commanders. This is not fantasy. This is a profound allegory for the nature of power in any age. The Jinn represent the unseen forces that truly shape our world. Intelligence networks, cyber warfare, economic manipulation, psychological operations, propaganda. A modern leader who commands the global flow of information, who can destabilize an opponent's economy with a single keystroke, who can sow division through social media bots and deep fakes. That leader commands the modern equivalent of the Jinn. Solomon's control was merely more literal. And finally, the ultimate expression of his power, the wind itself. The scriptures tell us Solomon commanded the wind, using it to transport his armies and his throne across vast distances in a single day. This transcends military might. This is control over the environment, over the very medium of travel and life. It represents a mastery of logistics so total that geography becomes irrelevant. Distance, the greatest tyrant of the ancient world, was rendered meaningless. So when we speak of Solomon's army gathering for inspection, do not picture a simple military parade. Picture a gathering that shattered the known laws of nature. Humans, animals, invisible beings of fire and the very air they breathed, all standing in silent, disciplined submission to one man. His authority was not derived from the consent of the governed. It was a direct, top-down mandate from the Creator of all things. His kingdom was a microcosm of a perfectly ordered cosmos. This was the force, the reality, the worldview that was about to collide with a kingdom that had perfected a completely different, and in its own way, equally powerful model of existence, the kingdom of Saba. It is in the midst of this display of cosmic power that we find our protagonist, and it is not a king, a general, or a jinn. It is a small bird, a hoopoe, known in the Arabic tradition as Hudhud. In Solomon's perfectly ordered system, every creature had a function. The lion was strength, the jinn was labor, the wind was transport, the Hudhud's role was intelligence. It was a biological reconnaissance drone, a feathered spy with a unique ability to sense the presence of water deep beneath the desert sands. Its job was to fly far beyond the borders of the kingdom, to observe, to learn, and to report. On this day, as the legions gathered, the Hudhud's place was empty. Solomon, in his inspection, noticed this absence immediately. In his kingdom, nothing was random. An absence was not an oversight. It was a data point, a disruption in the system that demanded explanation. His anger was not the petulance of a slighted monarch. It was the concern of a systems administrator who has detected an anomaly. "I will surely punish him with a severe punishment," Solomon declared, "or I will slaughter him unless he brings me a clear authority." Note the language, a clear authority. Sultanin Mubin. This is not just an excuse. It is a legal and logical justification. Even in this absolute monarchy, there is a system of justice. The Hudhud can save itself if it can provide a compelling, verifiable reason for its dereliction of duty. So where was this bird? It was not on a joyride. The Hudhud had been drawn, pulled by an instinct deeper than its training, far to the south, to the land of Saba in modern-day Yemen. It had followed a scent on the wind, not of water, but of a profound spiritual wrongness. Landing in a tall tree overlooking the capital city, Marib, the Hudhud observed a civilization that was the mirror opposite of Solomon's. Saba was not a kingdom of divine mandate. It was a masterpiece of human ingenuity. The Great Dam of Marib, an engineering marvel of the ancient world, had transformed the arid desert into a lush, fertile paradise. It was a kingdom built on technology, trade, and materialism. Their wealth was legendary, their architecture sophisticated, their society orderly. They had, by their own hands, created heaven on earth. And at the heart of this technocratic paradise was their queen, Bilqis. And at the heart of their culture was the worship of the sun. The Hudhud watched as the entire city gathered. He saw the queen emerge, a figure of immense grace and authority. He watched as she and her entire civilization bowed not to the unseen creator of the sun, but to the created object itself, to the giant, nuclear furnace in the sky that gave them their light, their warmth, and their crops. From their perspective, it was perfectly logical. The sun was the visible, tangible source of their prosperity. Its rising and setting governed their lives. Why worship an invisible, abstract deity when you can pay homage to the powerful, life-giving engine you see every day? It was the ultimate expression of a materialistic worldview. Power is that which is seen. Truth is that which is tangible. Reality is that which can be measured and observed. To the Hudhud, an emissary from a kingdom built on the primacy of the unseen, this was a category error of cosmic proportions. It was like worshiping a light bulb instead of the electrical grid, the power station, and the laws of physics that make it shine. It was a failure of the imagination, a profound and tragic confusion of the symbol with the source. The little bird, trembling with the weight of its discovery, knew its duty. It had found its clear authority. It flew for days, crossing the vast, empty quarter of the Arabian desert, driven by a mission that had transformed from simple reconnaissance to a moral imperative. It arrived at Solomon's court, not with a simple apology, but with an intelligence briefing that would change the course of history. It didn't grovel, it reported. "I have encompassed in knowledge that which you have not encompassed," the bird began. Imagine the audacity. A tiny bird telling the wisest king on earth, the master of men and jinn, "I know something you don't know. I have come to you from Saba with certain news. I found a woman ruling over them, and she has been given of all things, and she has a great throne. I found her and her people prostrating to the sun instead of Allah, and Satan has made their deeds pleasing to them and averted them from the right way, so they are not guided." This is not just a bird's report. It is a complete geopolitical and theological analysis. The subject: a woman rules them, a matriarchy, a significant cultural detail. The resources: She has been given of all things a wealthy, prosperous nation. The symbol of power, she has a great throne Arshan Azim. The ideological error, they worship the sun. The root cause. Satan, the principle of deception, has made this logical fallacy seem attractive and correct to them. Solomon's anger immediately subsided, replaced by the calculating mind of a strategist. We will see whether you were truthful or among the liars. The test was on. The intelligence had to be verified. The first move in this great confrontation was about to be made. Now let us journey south to the court of the woman at the center of this report. Queen Bilqis. We must strip away the layers of myth and caricature. Bilqis was no mere tribal chieftain. She was the ruler of a sophisticated, urbanized trading empire. Saba controlled the lucrative incense routes, the ancient equivalent of controlling the world's oil supply. Frankincense and myrrh were not just pleasant smells. They were essential commodities for religious rituals across the ancient world, from Egypt to Babylon. Saba was rich, and its queen was powerful. Her power, however, was not absolute like Solomon's. It was based on counsel, consensus, and the prosperity she delivered to her people. Her court was filled with advisors, military commanders, and merchant princes, a council of the powerful. She ruled not by divine fiat, but by being smarter, wiser, and more persuasive than anyone else in the room. Into this world of calculated, secular power, Solomon's message arrives. And it arrives in a way that is designed to be the message itself. The Hudhud, invisible, flies into the queen's private chambers. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't wait for an audience. It drops a sealed letter directly onto the sleeping queen. The letter falls. The queen awakens. She is alone. The doors are locked, the guards are outside. Yet here is an object that was not there moments before. The method of delivery is the first demonstration of power. It bypasses all her security, all her physical defenses. It tells her, your walls are meaningless to me. Your guards are irrelevant. I can reach you whenever and wherever I choose. This is a profound act of psychological warfare. Before she even reads the words, she has been confronted with a power that operates on rules she does not understand. She opens the letter. It is breathtakingly brief and direct. Indeed, it is from Solomon, and indeed, it is in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Be not haughty with me, but come to me in submission. Let us analyze this document. It is a masterwork of diplomatic communication. It is from Solomon, no titles, no boasts, just the simple, confident statement of the source. The power is inherent in the name, not the honorifics. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. This is the critical framing. It establishes the authority under which Solomon is acting. He is not writing as a king seeking conquest, but as an emissary of the divine. He is grounding his demand in a universal metaphysical context, not a personal one. He is inviting her to join his reality, not just surrender to his army. The mention of mercy is also key. It is an implicit offer of peace. Be not haughty with me, but come to me in submission, Muslimin. This is the demand. The word Muslimin here is nuanced. It means those who submit, but in this context, it is a submission to the reality of the one God, not necessarily to Solomon the man. It's a call for an ideological realignment. He is not saying surrender your armies, he is saying abandon your flawed worldview. Bilqis is shaken, but she is a ruler. She does not panic. She does what good leaders do. She convenes her council. She lays the letter before them. O eminent ones, she says, advise me in my affair. I would not decide a matter until you are present. This shows her political style, collaborative, not autocratic. The response from her council is exactly what you would expect from a military and political elite. It is hawkish. It is proud. They said, "We are men of strength and of great military might, but the command is yours, so see what you will command." This is a classic response from a military-industrial complex. Their solution to every problem is the tool they possess, force. They are telling her, "We are strong. We have a powerful army. Let's fight." They see Solomon's letter as a challenge to their honor, a prelude to war. They are interpreting his message through their own materialistic, power-based worldview. For them, demand for submission can only mean one thing: conquest. But Bilqis is wiser. She sees the subtext they miss. She saw how the letter arrived. She understands that this is not a typical territorial dispute. She voices a truth that is as relevant today as it was 3,000 years ago. "Indeed, kings," she says, "when they enter a city, they ruin it and make the honored of its people humiliated." And thus they do. This is a stunningly cynical and accurate assessment of the nature of warfare. She knows that war is not a glorious adventure. It is ruinous. It destroys wealth, culture, and social order. The victors humiliate the vanquished. She is not interested in a Pyrrhic victory or a noble defeat. She is a pragmatist, a preserver of her civilization. She sees that a military conflict with a power that can defy the laws of physics is unwinnable. So she proposes a different path. A path of intelligence gathering and diplomacy disguised as tribute. "But I will send to them a gift," she declares, "and see with what reply the messengers will return." This is not an act of submission. It is a brilliant strategic move. The gift is a probe. It buys her time. While the caravan travels, she can prepare her defenses and gather more information. The nature of the gift itself is a message. It will be a display of Saba's wealth and craftsmanship, a subtle boast. This is what we are capable of. We are a civilization of immense riches and skill. The primary mission is espionage. Her messengers are not just delivery boys. They are her spies. Their job is to assess Solomon's kingdom, his military strength, his intentions, and his character. Is he a greedy tyrant who can be bought off with gold? Or is he something else entirely? The council agrees. A magnificent gift is prepared: gold, jewels, priceless artifacts. A caravan is assembled. The fate of two kingdoms hangs in the balance, not on the outcome of a battle, but on the interpretation of a gift. The game has been set. It is a contest of paradigms. Solomon, of course, knows all of this. The Hudhud, his intelligence service, has already informed him of the Queen's plan. He knows the gift is coming. He knows it's a test. And he prepares a response designed not just to reject the gift, but to shatter the entire worldview that produced it. He doesn't just wait in his palace. He stages a spectacle. He orders his multi-species, multi-dimensional army to line up along the route the Sabaean caravan will take. He wants the messengers to be utterly overwhelmed before they even reach the city gates. Imagine the scene from the perspective of Bilqis's envoys. They are used to the splendors of their own kingdom. They are proud of the magnificent gift they carry. Then, as they approach Solomon's capital, they see it. Legions of human soldiers whose armor glints in the sun. But then, next to them, prides of lions standing in formation, their roars disciplined and controlled. They see elephants arranged like living siege engines. They see great birds of prey circling overhead in perfect, synchronized patterns. And then, they see things that their minds cannot process. Shimmering, heat-haze figures moving with purpose, the Jinn. Weapons and structures moving on their own, maintained by invisible forces. The very ground seems alive, and the wind itself whispers with a coherent intelligence. Their mouths fall open. Their confidence evaporates. The precious gift they are carrying suddenly seems like a child's trinket. What is gold to a man who commands the spirits that mine it from the earth? What are skilled artisans to a king who commands the beings that can build a palace in a night? This is a masterclass in what modern military strategists call shock and awe. The goal is not to defeat the enemy's army, but to destroy their will to fight, to present them with a reality so far beyond their own that resistance becomes unthinkable. By the time the messengers are escorted into Solomon's presence, they are already psychologically defeated. Their entire framework for understanding power, wealth, technology, human skill, has been rendered obsolete. They present their gift with hesitation and shame. Solomon looks at it and at them not with anger but with a kind of pity. "Do you provide me with wealth?" he asks, his voice calm, yet carrying the weight of his entire kingdom. "What Allah has given me is better than what He has given you. Rather, it is you who rejoice in your gift." This statement is the philosophical core of the entire conflict. Let's break it down. What Allah has given me is better than what He has given you. He is not just saying I am richer than you. He is making a qualitative distinction between two kinds of wealth. Their wealth is material, finite, dug from the earth. His wealth is a divine endowment, wisdom, prophecy, control over nature itself. It is a wealth of a higher order of reality. He is comparing a bank account to the laws of economics. Rather, it is you who rejoice in your gift. This is the most devastating line. He is telling them this gold, this craftsmanship. This is the very best your civilization can produce. This is the pinnacle of your value system, and you are proud of it. But to me, it is nothing. You are trapped in a paradigm of material value, and it is blinding you to what is truly valuable. He then gives them his ultimatum, his reply for the queen. "Return to them," he commands his officer to tell them, "for we will surely come to them with hosts that they will not be able to resist, and we will surely expel them therefrom in humiliation, and they will be debased." This sounds like a standard declaration of war. But it is not. The first move, the letter, was an invitation. The second move, the gift, was a test. Solomon's response is the consequence. He is saying, "You tried to deal with me on a material level and you failed to understand. You have left me no choice but to demonstrate my power on a physical level that you will understand. I gave you a chance to submit to a higher truth. Now you will be forced to submit to a higher power." The messengers return to Saba, their minds reeling. They deliver the rejected gift and the terrifying message. They describe the army of men, beasts, and spirits. They describe a kingdom where gold is used for pavement and the very wind is a servant. In that moment, Queen Bilqis knows. She knows her gambit has failed. She knows that war is not an option. She has encountered a power that her materialistic, logical, technological worldview cannot account for. There is only one move left. She cannot send a gift. She cannot send an army. She has to go herself. She must step out of her reality and into his. The decision is made. Bilqis will travel to Solomon's kingdom. But while her caravan is preparing for the long journey, Solomon makes his next move. This move is perhaps the most audacious and reality-bending of all. It is designed to preempt her arrival, to deconstruct her identity as a queen before she even sets foot in his court. He gathers his own council, his human viziers, his animal chieftains, and the powerful Jinn he commands. He poses a challenge. "O eminent ones," he says, "which of you can bring me her throne before they come to me in submission?" Why the throne? The throne, Arsh, is not just a piece of furniture. In the ancient world, the throne is the ultimate symbol of sovereignty. It is the physical embodiment of the monarch's power, their identity. their right to rule. To possess a king's throne is to possess the essence of his kingdom. By demanding her throne, Solomon is not just taking an object. He is metaphysically checkmating her. He is demonstrating that he can possess the very symbol of her power from hundreds of miles away without a fight. An Ifrit, a powerful and boastful class of Jinn, speaks up. "I will bring it to you before you rise from your place," he says. "And indeed, I am for this task strong and trustworthy." The Jinn, masters of physical translocation, offer a solution based on their brute, fiery strength. It would be an act of incredible speed, a matter of hours. But then another figure speaks. The text describes him as one who had knowledge of the scripture. He is not a Jinn. He is a human scholar, a man whose power comes not from fire and strength, but from knowledge, a deep, sanctified understanding of the divine mechanics of the universe. He makes a counteroffer that defies belief. "I will bring it to you before your glance returns to you, before you can blink." It is an instantaneous transfer, not a rapid movement through space, but a fundamental rewriting of spatial coordinates. It's not teleportation in the sci-fi sense of deconstruction and reconstruction. It is a reality-altering event, a command issued to the fabric of spacetime itself. Solomon agrees. And in the space of a single glance, the magnificent great throne of Queen Bilqis of Saba materializes in the center of Solomon's court in Jerusalem. Everyone is stunned. This is a power beyond even the Jinn. This is a power derived from knowledge, from alignment with the ultimate source code of reality. Solomon immediately gives praise to God, recognizing that this power is a test. "This is from the favor of my Lord," he says, "to test me whether I will be grateful or ungrateful." But he is not done. He now issues a second command, one that reveals the true psychological depth of his strategy. "Disguise for her throne," he orders. "We will see whether she will be guided to recognition or be of those who are not guided." He has them alter it slightly. Change an inlay here, modify a carving there. Why? This is the brilliant part. He has created an impossible cognitive test for Bilqis. When she arrives, she will be confronted with an object that is both familiar and foreign. If she says, "Yes, that is my throne," she would be admitting he has stolen it, an act of war, and she would be wrong because it has been altered. If she says, "No, that is not my throne," she would be denying the evidence of her own eyes, and she would also be wrong because it fundamentally is her throne. He has engineered a situation where a simple yes or no is impossible. He is forcing her out of binary, absolutist thinking and into a state of nuance, doubt, and intellectual humility. He is not just attacking her power. He is deconstructing her certainty. Meanwhile, another project is underway, a project that will target not her royal identity, but her personal identity as a woman. Solomon orders the construction of a special reception hall. He commands the Jinn to build a palace with a courtyard whose floor is made of polished, transparent glass. Beneath the glass is flowing water, filled with fish. The effect is a perfect illusion. Anyone entering would believe they were about to step into a pool of water. Why this specific, strange design? Here we enter the murky world of ancient intelligence and counterintelligence. Whispers had reached Solomon's court, rumors likely spread by the resentful Jinn who served him. They feared that if Solomon married this powerful human queen, their union would produce an heir who would continue their enslavement. So they started a disinformation campaign. The rumor was that Bilqis was not fully human, that she was part Jinn, and the supposed proof that she had hairy legs and the hooves of a donkey. It was a classic smear campaign, designed to make her monstrous, other, and undesirable to the king. Solomon, the master strategist, decided to address this rumor head-on, but in his own inimitable style. He would not ask her. He would create a situation where the truth would reveal itself organically. The glass floor was the trap. Faced with what appeared to be a pool of water, any woman's natural instinct would be to lift her skirts to keep them dry. In that moment of unguarded instinct, he would see for himself. He would debunk the Jinn's propaganda with undeniable visual proof. It was a test, not of her, but of the information he was being fed. A wise ruler tests his own intelligence sources before acting on them. The stage is now set. The altered throne is in place, a challenge to her royal mind. The glass palace is ready, a test for her physical reality. The Queen of Saba is approaching, a ruler about to have her entire world, from her crown to her very ankles, systematically and brilliantly deconstructed. The journey of Queen Bilqis is a journey from one reality to another. As her caravan gets closer to Solomon's kingdom, the evidence of his power becomes undeniable. The stories her messengers told her are brought to life. She sees the impossible logistics, the unnatural order, the sheer scale of his dominion. Her own kingdom, which once seemed the pinnacle of civilization, now feels small, provincial. Her pride, the pride of a self-made empire, begins to crumble. It is replaced by a growing sense of awe and a healthy dose of fear. She arrives at the palace. It is a structure of stunning beauty, but it is the entrance that commands her full attention. She sees Solomon waiting for her across a courtyard that appears to be a shimmering, deep pool of water. This is the moment of the test. She is a queen, an icon of grace and composure. But she is also a woman who does not wish to ruin her royal garments. Acting on pure, ingrained instinct, she does exactly as Solomon predicted. She lifts the hem of her dress, exposing her legs. In that moment, the illusion is broken. Solomon gently informs her, indeed, it is a palace whose floor is made smooth with plates of glass. She looks down. She sees the glass. She sees the water flowing harmlessly beneath it. She realizes she has been tricked, but not in a malicious way. She has been led to reveal something about herself through a flawless manipulation of her perception. In that same moment, Solomon sees her legs. They are the legs of a human woman. The Jinn's rumor, the disinformation campaign, is exposed as a lie. This single event is a microcosm of the entire encounter. Solomon has shown her that what she perceives as reality is not necessarily true reality. Her senses can be deceived. The world she thinks she knows is more complex than she imagines. He has humbled her, not to humiliate her, but to prepare her for a deeper truth. She is then escorted inside, and she is shown the throne. Her throne, the symbol of her power, sitting in the court of another king, hundreds of miles from her palace. Solomon poses the question he had prepared. Is your throne like this? Look at the brilliance of the phrasing. Not is this your throne, but is it like this? He is offering her a way out of the cognitive trap he has set. Bilqis looks at it. She is a smart woman. She sees the object and she recognizes it instantly. But she also sees the subtle alterations. She understands the trap. She cannot give a simple yes or no. Her reply is a masterpiece of diplomacy and intellectual honesty. It is as if it were the very one. Hudhud. She doesn't confirm or deny. She expresses a state of profound confusion and astonishment. It seems to be hers, yet it cannot be. With this answer, she passes his test. She proves she is not a dogmatic, arrogant ruler, but an intelligent woman capable of recognizing a paradox, capable of admitting she does not have all the answers. She has demonstrated that her mind is open. And then she adds a crucial line. And we were given knowledge before it, and we were in submission. Scholars debate this line. Is she saying that her own wise men had predicted something like this might happen? Or is she saying, the knowledge I have just gained from seeing this impossibility, from seeing your power, has already led me to a state of submission? Most likely it is the latter. The evidence, the arrival of the letter, the rejected gift, the army of all creation, and now the teleported, altered throne, has become overwhelming. Her materialistic worldview has been systematically dismantled. The axioms upon which she built her life and her kingdom have been proven false. She has been stripped of her pride, her certainty, and the symbols of her power. She is no longer just a queen. She is a seeker, ready finally to listen. What happens next is not a negotiation between two monarchs. It is a lesson, a philosophical instruction. Solomon invites her to sit and he begins to speak. He doesn't talk about armies or tribute. He talks about the sun, the object of her people's worship. He does not mock her faith. He deconstructs it with logic. He speaks of the sun as a creation, a sign, a servant. Just like the butterflies in the garden, just like the Hudhud bird that brought the message, the sun is a piece of cosmic machinery placed in the sky by a creator to serve a purpose. It provides light and heat. It is a magnificent, powerful object, but it is still an object. It is a servant, not a master. For a human being, he explains, the pinnacle of creation on earth, a being gifted with consciousness, intellect, and free will, to bow down to a servant like the sun is a profound insult to their own intelligence. It is a category error. It is to worship the gift instead of the giver. Imagine this conversation in a modern context. Today, we don't worship the sun. But what do we worship? We worship wealth, believing that net worth defines human value. We worship celebrity, believing that fame is a measure of importance. We worship technology, believing that a new app or a faster processor holds the key to human happiness. We worship the state, believing that a political or economic system is the ultimate arbiter of truth and morality. These are all modern forms of sun worship. They are all the act of taking a created thing, money, fame, technology, ideology, and elevating it to the status of the divine. Solomon's message to Bilqis is the same message to us. He is asking her to lift her gaze, to look beyond the created object, no matter how powerful and dazzling it may seem, and to recognize the existence of the Creator, to shift her allegiance from the tangible to the transcendent, from the symbol to the source. For Bilqis, this is the final piece of the puzzle. The light of the sun, which had been the brilliant center of her universe, suddenly fades in her heart. It is replaced by the dawning of a new kind of light, the light of understanding, of Tawheed, the absolute oneness of God. The realization that all the power, all the wealth, all the complexity in the universe flows from a single, unified source. In a moment of profound clarity and humility, she makes her declaration. "My Lord," she says, addressing God directly, "indeed, I have wronged myself, and I submit with Solomon to Allah, the Lord of the worlds." This is her conversion. But it is more than that. It is a complete paradigm shift. I have wronged myself. She takes personal responsibility. She recognizes that her previous belief system was not just an intellectual error, but a harm she had inflicted upon her own soul by limiting its potential. I submit with Solomon. She is not submitting to Solomon. She is submitting with him. She is joining him as an equal partner on the same side before the same ultimate authority. He has not conquered her. He has liberated her. He has freed her from the prison of her materialistic worldview. To Allah, the Lord of the worlds, she affirms the new universal framework. Her allegiance is no longer to her tribe, her nation, or the sun. It is to the sovereign of all existence. The story tells us that she and her people abandoned sun worship and embraced the worship of the one God. Many traditions hold that she and Solomon were married, uniting not just two kingdoms, but two worldviews, the empire of divine mandate and the empire of converted reason, into a single, more complete whole. The story of Solomon and Bilqis is not just a charming tale from antiquity. It is a timeless blueprint of power, diplomacy, and the eternal struggle between competing ideas. It resonates today with an almost frightening clarity. First, it teaches us about the nature of true power. The world today is still captivated by the Sabaean model of power: wealth, technology, military might, and resource control. We measure the strength of nations by their GDP, their weapons systems, and their technological advancements. The story of Solomon reminds us that there is a deeper power: the power of truth, the power of controlling the narrative, the power that comes from aligning with the fundamental laws of reality. The nation or civilization that masters the unseen forces, information, ideology, and the human spirit will ultimately triumph over one that relies on material strength alone. Second, it is a case study in psychological warfare and information control. Solomon did not send an army first. He sent a message. He manipulated perception with the glass palace. He deconstructed the symbol of power with the teleported throne. He debunked disinformation with a simple, elegant test. In our modern age of fake news, propaganda bots, and state-sponsored disinformation, this ancient story shows us that the battle for the mind is the most critical battlefield of all. Third, it demonstrates a model of enlightened diplomacy. Solomon's goal was not to destroy Saba, but to correct its ideological error. He wanted to win the argument, not just the war. His actions were a form of invitation, a series of increasingly powerful demonstrations designed to persuade, not obliterate. He offered Bilqis a golden bridge to retreat across, allowing her to submit to a higher principle rather than to his own ego. It's a lesson our modern world, so quick to resort to sanctions and military threats, would do well to remember. In the end, this entire epic confrontation began with one small creature who dared to speak truth to power. A tiny bird, the Hudhud, who saw something wrong in the world and refused to stay silent. It reminds us that sometimes the most profound changes in history are initiated not by the great and powerful, but by the small and courageous who bring clear authority, a clear and compelling truth that can no longer be ignored. The Queen of Saba built her kingdom in the image of the sun, brilliant, powerful, but ultimately just a temporary star. Solomon built his kingdom in the image of the creator of the sun, an empire founded not on what could be seen, but on the unseen truths that govern all of existence. The question the story leaves for us, as we navigate the complexities of the 21st century, is simple. By the light of which star are we building ours?